And now we will move on to the closing session. Through the entirety of our annual meeting program, we've had 2 plenary sessions and 5 technology sessions. Summaries of those lively discussion and insightful presentation will be available on our official website in due course. So please check our website for update. In addition, all sessions will be available on demand. Please take advantage of these features to view the sessions that interest you. So now, I would like to invite Mr. Shizuka Hiroaki, the chairman of New Energy and Industrial Technology Development Organization, to give us an address on behalf of the ICEF host. Please.
Good afternoon. I am Hiroaki Shizuka, the chairman of NEDO. On behalf of the host organizations, it is an honor to speak at this year's closing session. For the first time in 3 years, despite the continuing influence of COVID-19, this event is being held both in person and online. I would like to thank all the participants as well as our global audience for joining us. I also would like to thank Mr. Tanaka, Chair of the ICEF Steering Committee, and all the committee members for their great contributions. And many thanks to the Secretariat members for their hard work and diligent preparations. NEDO is one of the largest funding agencies in Japan and works with the government to implement economic and industrial policies through the promotion of technology development. NEDO has 2 key missions: addressing energy and global environmental problems and enhancing industrial technology. As an innovation accelerator, we bring together the excellence of private companies, universities, and public research institutes to research, develop, and demonstrate cutting-edge technologies and create innovation. It has truly been an honor for us to co-host ICEF2022 with MEDI. More than 150 countries around the world have declared that they will aim for carbon neutrality, progressing global efforts to address climate change. On the other hand, the world is facing various crises such as COVID-19 and other energy issues. The theme of this year's forum was low-carbon innovation in a time of crisis, which recognized the need to move forward with innovation even uncertain times with various challenges. Also this year, emphasizing diversity and gender balance, we have invited many youth generation to join the discussion because they will be the leaders of society in 2050. Achieving carbon neutrality by 2050 requires creating innovation and increasing social implementation. Given the different situations in different countries and regions, various approaches are needed to achieve carbon neutrality on a global scale. From the perspectives of balancing energy security and decarbonization, comprehensive transition, and breakthrough innovation technologies, we have had lively and fruitful discussions. In Japan, 10 international conferences for energy and environmental issues are being held as part of Tokyo Green Transformation Week. Tokyo Green Transformation Week aims to hasten the transition to a virtuous cycle of environmental and economic harmony. In collaborating with the organizers of these international conferences, NEDO hopes to accelerate the trend toward achieving global carbon neutrality. NEDO will continue to closely with our partners, both Japanese and international, and continue to disseminate the outcomes of ICEF, including the roadmaps at COP27 this November. Finally, Let me introduce the speakers of this session. Firstly, Mr. Sandaro, a member of the ICEF Steering Committee, will introduce ICEF's roadmap for low-carbon ammonia. Then Mr. Tagami of the Institute of Energy Economic Japan will introduce the roadmap for blue carbon. Next, Dr. Yamaji, a member of the ICEF Steering Committee, will present a statement from the Steering Committee. And lastly, Mr. Tanaka, the chair, will summarize this year's meeting. Please note that recordings of ICEF sessions will be available on the ICEF website. This concludes my remarks. I hope to meet you all again here in Tokyo next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ishizuka. So next, Mr. David Sandalo will present his remarks on the ICEF roadmap of low-carbon ammonia. And again, Mr. Sandalo is a member of ICEF Steering Committee, inaugural fellow, Center on Global Energy Policy, Columbia University, co-director, Energy and Environment Concentration, School of International and Public Affairs, Columbia University. So, Mr. Sandalo, if you please.
Thank you very much. And thank you to NITO for your support of this event. Thank you to Mehdi for organizing it. It's great to be back in Tokyo. I can't emphasize that enough. It's great to see old friends and great to be back in this city. Today, I'm going to briefly talk about the ICEF Innovation Roadmap Project. And amazingly, at this conference today, we released our 10th ICEF Innovation Roadmap. And here's the list of them. As you can see, we've covered quite a range of topics in the past 7 years, with a focus on carbon dioxide removal, but not exclusively on that topic. If you're interested in learning more, please look for this booklet. Mehdi prepared this booklet this year, and it summarizes all of the ICEF roadmaps. And it's available in a printed copy in this conference room, but then it's available online on the ICEF website as well. One very wonderful part of this booklet is we had a number of tributes from global leaders about the roadmaps, and here's a tribute from our friend Ho-Sung Lee, who's chair of the IPCC, who said the ICEF roadmaps provide important research on a wide range of technologies for helping achieve net zero emissions. They're an important resource for anyone working on these issues. And we also have, comments from US government officials, from funders, from other academics. So it's, I personally want to thank NITO and Mehdi and ICEF for their support of this work. So at this event, we released a roadmap on low carbon ammonia, released yesterday. And it's available for comment, and there is a Gmail address that you can mail comments to. And please, if you're interested or have any expertise in this topic, please send us comments. This is a draft document that we released. It is definitely not perfect. We're looking for more data, more expertise on a range of issues. And the final will be released at COP27. And we had a great team of really expert co-authors who are helping prepare this. And we'll help finalize it in the next month. So I'm going to spend just a few minutes going through the basics of this. And the first, just what is ammonia? Ammonia plays a central role in modern agriculture. It's a key feedstock for fertilizers and for chemicals, plastics, rubber, and explosives. Actually, our colleague Vaclav Smil literally wrote the book on ammonia. I recommend his 2 books on this topic. And one of the points that Vaclav makes is that without the ability to synthesize ammonia, which was invented about 100 years ago in Germany, roughly half of humanity would not have enough to eat right now. That the ability to feed 7 billion people or 8 billion people depends upon synthetic ammonia and our ability to make it. Ammonia, it's a colorless gas with a strong odor. It is gaseous at room temperature. Its boiling point is right about actually where the centigrade and Fahrenheit scales converge. It's got half the density from a volumetric standpoint of LNG. So it does carry energy. It's not as strong from an energy standpoint as LNG. Less flammable than gasoline or natural gas, which creates some problems in turbines. But it's extensively regulated because there is a large ammonia industry today. It's 180 million tons of ammonia are made today. So there is already a large global industry. In fact, and this was not a statistic that I knew before we started working on this, almost 2% of global greenhouse gas emissions actually come from ammonia production today. And that's mostly CO2 emissions from separating the hydrogen from methane or coal. And so the first most obvious thing we can do with this is to produce ammonia without those greenhouse gas emissions. And there's two ways of doing that. They're commonly known, the three ways. The two most common ways are commonly known as blue ammonia and green ammonia. Blue ammonia is when you capture the carbon dioxide that's emitted in the process of producing ammonia from either methane or coal, and green ammonia is when you use electrolysis of water with a zero carbon source. And then you can also use waste biomass. Here's our table of contents. These are the issues that we cover. I think our draft is about 75 pages long. We cover, in addition to the kind of things I was just talking about, we cover research and development pathways, policy recommendations, and then we have findings and recommendations. And just a couple more quick points. The policy landscape on low carbon ammonia is moving very quickly. It's a form of low carbon hydrogen, and there's a lot of activity in hydrogen in the world. Japan is one of the global leaders, if not the global leader in this area. It's procured ammonia for co-firing of coal power plants, helping to reduce emissions, and also is investing in shipbuilding. In the US, we now have some very significant tax incentives which are going to really drive this market. Some complicated developments in the European Union on additionality requirements, and many nations are investing in R&D. And we have, I think, 8 findings and 8 recommendations. I'm only going to talk about one of them here. Our first finding, which is our team believes that low carbon ammonia can produce significant greenhouse gas reductions in key sectors in this decade. I just want to repeat that because this is the decade of action. And we think in agriculture and maybe in shipping that low carbon ammonia can really contribute to significant reductions, and then deep reductions beyond that going out to mid-century. And so just to repeat this, if you are interested or have expertise, please send comments to the Gmail address that is in the draft. And once again, many thanks to Nito and Mehdi for their support of this work. And thank you. And with that, I think I'm turning the podium over to Tagami-san. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sandalo. So I talk about the ICEF Blue Carbon Roadmap. So the outline of the ICEF Blue Carbon Roadmap is presented at this annual meeting. So next one, please. Next slide. So the blue carbon is one of the negative emission technologies, and the blue carbon covers broadly two broadly categories. First one is traditional blue carbon, mangroves, tidal marshes, and seagrasses in the coastal zone. And the second one is the cultivation of macroalgae, such as kelp and sargassum. And the possible third category will be some physiochemical approaches to blue carbon. But I will touch upon this third category, but our focus is on the second category of macroalgae approach. And so where we are the scientific understanding of blue carbon components. The second category of blue carbon, more scientific knowledge should be explored. This is the most important challenges for us in technological and academic needs. And the current and the future technologies to scale the blue carbon. We list up the technological challenges and environmental concerns. And technology includes some technologies to create, protect, use, and measure. And maybe the fourth category of technologies to measure is very important for monitoring and crediting. And we will touch upon the environmental concern. It may arise from the large-scale application of deployment of macroalgae farming. So this is a policy and institutional requirement. We must discuss about the IPCC inventory guidelines, and we also have to discuss about the requirements of the London Protocol and the London Convention. And maybe we need some local stakeholder consultations are very important for blue carbon, so it is not to mention. And the potential of carbon removals and buy and credit from blue carbon. Blue carbon potential is estimated to 0.4 to 1.5 gigaton carbon dioxide equivalent per year by 2050. And on blue carbon credit, we can maybe extend our existing systems or J-Blue credit and verify the carbon standards to cover more blue carbon projects. And this outline is up for comment, so please put comments by 15th of October, and the draft will be presented at COP27, and a blue carbon roadmap will be finalized by the end of the year. At the last, I'd like to thank you for METI and NEDO for supporting us, preparing roadmaps, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tagami, and also Mr. Sandalo. Next, we would like to ask Professor Dr. Yamaji Kenji, an ICEF Steering Committee member, President of Research Institute of Innovative Technology for the Earth, and Professor Emeritus of the University of Tokyo, to present a statement on behalf of ICEF. So, Professor Dr. Yamaji, if you please.
Thank you very much. It's my great pleasure and honor to be able to report the ICEF 2022 statement from the steering committee. Under the main theme of low carbon innovation in a time of crisis, the 9th annual meeting of the Innovation for Cool Earth Forum, ICEF 2022, was held in a hybrid format on October 5 and 6, 2022, as an initiative of Tokyo Green Transformation Week. More than 1,600 people from governments, international organizations, industry, and academia participated in this event, representing 87 countries and regions. At the conclusion of ICEF 2022, the steering committee is releasing the following statement based on a series of discussions, very heated discussions, just up to before the opening of this ICEF. First, crisis we face. This year, people in many parts of the world experienced record high temperatures, as well as devastating wildfires, flood, droughts, threatening human lives and nature. The sixth assessment report of Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change pointed out that we cannot on track to limit warming to 1.5 degrees C unless there are immediate and deep emission reductions across all sectors. 1.5 degrees C target is beyond reach. Increasingly, the danger of exceeding more tipping points, even 2 degrees C target, has become increasingly challenging.
In addition, the COVID-19 and the war in Ukraine have not only shocked but also dramatically disrupted our energy and food systems. The war has impacted various energy markets and threatened energy security of many economies. Continue. As a result of both the use of coal and emissions are rising, we also face the imminent issue of inflation, in particular, energy and food price hikes and supply chain disruptions. All these crises revealed weakness of international and national institutions to address global issues. Furthermore, social unrest and political violence in some parts of the world have been rising due to the public's dissatisfaction and anger in the difficult socio-economic situations. Second, opportunities we have, diversified approaches. Since its start in 2014, ICEF has promoted innovations as a solution to climate change. The current rapid cost and declines and massive deployment of renewables demonstrated that transformational change is possible. Now we need to transform other areas and services. Momentum for public and private research and development incentives and investment in clean energy technologies is now higher than ever before. Diversification in approaches is essential to materialize opportunities. Diversified approaches will create sound competition among different technologies and therefore constitute an origin of innovation and contribute to their deployment. Continue. Diversification is also an important principle of resilience that helps enhance capability to grapple with risks and uncertainties. It is thus indispensable for tackling energy security issues and moving toward the post-COVID-19 era, which are now transforming our society. ICEF embodies diversification and inclusiveness. We not only facilitate discussions and debates among countries and regions with different pathways, various technological areas, sectors of industries, academia and government, and many other stakeholders, but also ensure cross-generational representation and gender diversity. Third, need for accelerated action before 2030. While the number of countries and regions pledging carbon neutrality and with climate legislation is increasing, carbon dioxide emission in 2021 rebounded at the highest level after a temporary decrease in 2020 with the COVID pandemic lockdown. The short-term emissions, unfortunately, continue to increase. In the meantime, the IPCC AR6 assessed that remaining carbon budget from 2020 onward is 500 gigaton carbon dioxide to have a 50% chance of limiting warming to 1.5 degrees C, while existing fossil fuel infrastructure is expected to emit cumulatively 610 gigaton carbon dioxide from 2018 until the end of its lifetime. We simply cannot keep this pace forward and must reverse the trend as soon as possible. It becomes crystal clear that this decade up to 2030 is critical in order to deliver carbon neutrality by mid-century, and that we need to accelerate innovation and deployment. Action-oriented innovation. In the midst of surging discussions on energy security and geopolitics, at ICEF2022, leading experts discussed how innovation can contribute to delivering both carbon neutrality and energy security, and what practical action-oriented approaches are required to accelerate transition leading up to 2030. Policymaking shall also adopt innovation. When energy geopolitics is so much heightened, energy security and energy transition must be pursued in a more balanced and rational manner. Fair market conditions and mechanisms for decarbonization need to be established. A new industrial policy for deployment is needed. Continue. Transition must take into consideration of socio-economic impacts and ensure to leave no one behind. Thus, how innovation contributes to increasing compatibility between economic development and carbon neutrality shall be addressed, as many countries still depend on fossil fuels for economic growth. We seek answers to how to pursue wise use of fossil fuels in the challenging energy transition. Technology innovation offers perspective and options to choose. In ICEF, we dive deep into a wide range of technological options for both supply side and demand side. On the supply side, carbon dioxide removal and utilization, nuclear, hydrogen and synthetic fuels in the heat and transport sector, and critical minerals. They are examined in depth. And on the demand side, enhancing energy efficiencies and utilizing renewables in all sectors are emphasized. Continue. Given that carbon neutrality requires all sorts of carbon dioxide removal technologies, we discussed how to ensure the environmental integrity of those technologies, in particular around increasing R&D and good governance. In conclusion, ICEF has diversity and inclusiveness in its DNA by design. We always embrace and celebrate the participation of speakers who represent and embody diversity. This year, we have paid particular attention to increasing the representation and voices of younger generation who will lead and define a sustainable, resilient, and inclusive society of 2050. We at ICEF remain firmly committed to engaging diverse stakeholders and thereby creating stronger momentum for technological and social innovation for carbon neutrality. This time again, we prepared infographics shown here. While we are surrounded by many crises, we will promote green transformation, GX, by action-oriented innovations with diversified approaches on the basis of opportunities we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Yamaji. And to conclude the program, we would like to ask Mr. Tanaka Nobuo, Chair of the ICEF Steering Committee, to summarize the ICEF 2022. So, Mr. Tanaka, if you please.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, this year's theme of ICEF is low carbon innovation in a time of crisis. We have climate crisis, Ukraine war, a nuclear crisis, and COVID-19 pandemic crisis all together. So many people on Earth have suffered a lot under these simultaneous crises. At the opening session yesterday, I asked the audience for observing a minute of silence for the late Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, who is our founding father 9 years ago, and many foreign dignitaries participated in his funeral last week. Yuval Noah Harari, the author of *Sapiens*, warned that the human beings in the 21st century are facing 3 global challenges, namely climate crisis, nuclear war, and threat of algorithm. Nationalism and populism cannot solve these global problems. He said we need political leaders with global identity. Late Prime Minister Abe was probably the only Japanese politician with the global identity, and that's the reason why many foreign leaders may miss him. Daniel Yagin said that an age of global open and free market was gone, and we are in the age of great competition. Fatih Birol, the executive director of the IEA, said that we are in the middle of the first global energy crisis. This new geopolitical reality must be put into our consideration of energy transformation. Great competition by great powers may accelerate the green transformation, which may happily lead us to the net zero by 2050, as Fatih Birol indicated. But we see unprecedented challenges to government policies, consumer behaviors, and technological innovations. Government should engage a new industrial policy for deployment of electric vehicles, batteries, hydrogen, CCUS, DAC, and U, or nuclear power. Research and development support are not enough. Transition asset class concept was discussed to help investing in LNG for emerging markets. We have to make sure nobody is left behind, especially in emerging countries. Balanced transition may be needed. Regulated asset base for nuclear is also interesting. Carbon pricing must be introduced everywhere by either implicit or explicit manner. Standardization will be the center of global cooperation, including China. Critical minerals will become much, much more important than oil and gas for energy security at energy transformation. No metals, no transition. And industrial policy is also needed to build a sustainable supply chain of critical minerals. China should be more engaged to the sustainable transition with our cooperation. In this great competition, there will be winners and losers. EU is definitely a winner. The energy war between Russia and Europe pushes many European nations away from Russian gas to renewables, hydrogen, and nuclear power. EU is setting the speed of the global transformation with its carbon border adjustment measures. The United States will be a winner too. Fatih Birol said that Inflation Reduction Act is the single most important energy and climate action by any country since the Paris Accord in 2015. This is an example of a new green industrial policy of the United States. China may be a winner with its autocratic leadership and huge domestic demands for decarbonization as well as resources for transformation. Critical minerals are a typical example. India can be a winner by establishing a new green growth paradigm. Saudi Arabia can be a winner if it invests in CCS and blue hydrogen to avoid stranded acetization of oil and gas, as well as solar power deployment. On the other hand, Russia seems least prepared for this climate shock. Western sanctions on technology, self-withdrawal of investment, expanding military expenditures, and increasing brain drain may hurt its ability to adapt. For Japan, probably the most important but most difficult test to be a winner may be a nuclear power. After a long-lasting lack of political will, Prime Minister Kishida declared recently that 17 reactors will be in operation by the end of next year. Restarting of nuclear reactors will avoid possible power blackout in Japan and save some LNG for Europe by turning extra tankers there. Restarting nuclear power plant and extending their operation lives may be politically very difficult, even though central government is committed to do so. To recover the public support after the Fukushima accident, METI should build a clear, sustainable nuclear vision, which we lack, as Dr. Fujita said, rather directly. ICEF concluded there are 4 additional conditions for sustainable nuclear power design. They are, first, minimizing the risk of accident by SMR with passive safety features. 2, a concrete plan for radioactive waste disposal, like Finland. 3, proliferation-resistant technology. And 4th, socio-political sustainability, as Dr. Richard Lester suggested. The local community should join the initial design stage for the reactor. This is, in fact, design justice of Dr. Verma. Dr. Fujita explained that US technology of metallic fuel fast reactor with pyroprocessing, which ARC is a commercial version, can be applied to the meltdown fuel debris at Fukushima nuclear power plant and proposed a joint examination exercise with the US. I hope Ambassador Emmanuel may take it serious that Algon National Laboratory can help the Fukushima decommission. As I mentioned to Ishizuka-san of NEDO in the past ICEF meeting, I am more convinced this year that NEDO should be a real innovator of energy system, including nuclear. You may change its statutory law and engage in the nuclear power as one of the sustainable energy system. By the way, Canon Institute of Global Studies publicized today the report of the Task Force on Next Generation Nuclear System, which explains the sustainability conditions. 9 women, including Fujita Sensei and myself, are in charge. Last but not least, I always enjoy challenging and surprising the Secretariat of ICEF by my caprice. In fact, the Secretariat did a great job to enforce the better gender balances in the speakers in these 2 years. And women's share increased this year to more than 50%. Congratulations. Also, we succeeded in involving young generation to all the panels. Please show the slide. Yeah, these are the people who joined our panels in these 2 days. I thank young ICEF participants who contributed to the discussion with their new perspectives and ideas. They are real treasure of the ICEF. And this year's surprise. Many steering committee members stressed importance of engaging young generation by communication in the last session. In order to increase the exposure and communication to more young people, I asked the Secretariat to hold ICEF 2023 in the metaverse. I am looking forward to seeing all of your avatars in the ICEF next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Tanaka. And this concludes the Innovation of Cool Earth Forum 9th Annual Meeting. We hope this year's annual meeting provided all attendees with the fruitful opportunities to learn about the latest technological innovations. And as this year's meeting has been held in a hybrid format, we would like to ask all the participants to give us a feedback to help us improve the next meeting. Please access the online survey on the ICEF virtual meeting website. So, ICEF will hold its next meeting in autumn 2023 in Tokyo and maybe Metaverse. Hope to see you again there. Again, thank you very much for participating in the 9th annual meeting and see you again next year. Goodbye.